Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the snow scene with the red fox this time. I've put the basic fox in now just to save a little bit of time, but it's just the basic red, haven't had anything else done to it. And I'm now just going to start filling him in. I thought I changed it to the red fox because I did put the Arctic fox in, but it was just too pale. There was too much snowy colour on snowy colour, and I thought this would add a nice pop of colour, so he kind of wandered in the picture and I let him stay. That's my excuse anyway. I do have the link for the drawing in the description box below. It's a very basic drawing, but it doesn't include the fox at this angle, but you could still do the red fox in the place where I've put it in the picture, so if you didn't want to draw an extra one in, you'd still be alright. I'm trying to get it to look a little bit like fur, and because I want to make it look like fur, and obviously I can't do each individual strand, I'm making it layered, because when you look at an animal's fur there is depth to it as well. It's not all the same colour. So I'm building up layers and layers and layers in the hopes that I can get it to look a little, have a little depth in the fur itself. I am working from a reference picture to do this fox as well. But weirdly enough, it wasn't a very good reference picture, so I had to kind of make some of it up as I went along. You see how I use the end of the needle to move the fur around. It's astonishing how many different colours there are on a fox when you come to actually look at it like this. I think in a minute I actually go back and shorten the tail a bit because I decided it was too long. I can see where I'm moving the fur with my needle that that little white patch starts to look like fur, and that's simply because you can see through the top layers to the next layers down. I'm not sure why I darkened his ears and then started on his tail. And I didn't start with his head. That's a bit weird. I do like to flit about in my pictures as well. If you've watched me before, you'll see me go backwards and forwards all over the place. And all the time, like I say, it's about thin layers. Just keep thin layers going. I'm not saying a great deal because I'm actually fascinated watching it at this speed as well, and I don't think there's much I could say more than you can actually see what I'm doing at the moment. So I hope you don't mind if I'm just quiet watching it as well, because obviously all this takes hours and hours to do, and it's weird to watch it come to life so quickly. The little fox's head was quite fiddly because it was such an odd angle, and it took quite a little bit of effort to try and get it to look right. I think I succeeded in the end. It's such a tiny area to try and get a lot of detail in. So what animal would you have put in here instead of the fox? Can you think of a different one that you might have added? I'd be interested to know. If you want, leave me a comment and tell me. I did think of deer and all sorts of things, but I just ended up back with the fox. But I would be interested to know what your thoughts are, what you might have added instead. And who knows, I might even do another one at some point and add that animal. And if it was an animal, it might have been something else you'd added. It's interesting because when you're doing just a landscape, there's nothing for people to measure that picture by other than you know what a tree looks like, you know what a hill looks like. And so landscapes are very forgiving because you can make them anything you want as long as everything looks sort of like it's supposed to. But it's a whole different world when you go into doing things like animals because everybody knows what a fox looks like or a horse, and there's very little room to make mistakes with those, which is why it takes so long on doing this little animal. You can see now I decided the tail was too long. This is the joy of the felting wool. You can pull it up and pull it around like that. If you use the tip of the needle correctly and carefully, you can actually mix the colours onto the picture you're doing, almost like you're mixing paint. If you're really gentle, you can scuff them around and they kind of mix up together, which is why you see me doing it so much. I'm trying to get all the colours to blend in with each other. When you look at this, it makes me think that people, well, don't appreciate this as being art. They think that only art is painting, that kind of thing. And um, when you talk to people, they don't consider doing this with needle felting to be art. And to me, it's as big an art as anything else that you do, especially with the amount of time it takes to do it. Because this picture took me maybe 30 hours to actually do. Well, I probably could have painted this picture with acrylics in about 12. So this is actually really, to me, it takes longer, especially on the size of the picture. It's not looking too bad at all in the end. Now I'm going back to put the shadows in that I had to take out when I took the other fox away. It's very important you remember the shadow because that's what anchors the fox to the ground. You just have to keep in mind the direction that your light source is so that your shadows go in the same way. You can see how he makes the picture pop now. And these little footprints, little dents in the, I'm going to say sand, that's wishful thinking, little dents in the snow. I could have got really technical and gone and looked up the stride markings of a fox, but I didn't. I just made it up as I went along. I don't think anybody's actually going to care. I had pondered whether to put another fox the other side of the trees, but I decided it would be too much and he's better off just as a single focal point in the end. And for me, what makes a picture is the depth of a picture when you do a landscape. So I try very hard, and which is what I try and help everybody else with, to get that depth in the picture. I did trim the picture down a bit as well, as you might notice the edges are nice and neat, because every so often I like to clear all the fuzzy bits from the edge, and then I have a nice neat area to work with. I was trying to decide whether to do a boulder or another tree, because I wanted to um, make the fox more of a focal point, although he is. I wanted to kind of block him in, so that's why I decided to put another tree on this side. It's all done exactly the same way as I did the last one. Because I've done that, it actually, if you look at it, it focuses your eyes onto the fox, and then you have to look through the trees to the distance. And I think that worked much nicer than just leaving that edge open. If you're not sure, if you go back in a minute and have a look at the difference between the two, you'll see what I mean. How this really does bring you into the picture now. You're forced to go through the trees into the picture. Again, I will lose some of the bits on the sides when I finally put it in a frame, but I can choose what bits I want to keep in the picture and not. So there's still probably still half an inch or so extra on each side. And you'll see when the final picture, when it's in the frame, how much is changed or how much I lose on the edges. But it's so important for me anyway. It's so important to have the extra bit around the edges. And this is me again just putting the isolated branches on the tree. They're so easy. You just get some colour and just roll it up and put it down. Just try and vary them a little bit. I know it's all the same snow and that, but if you can just vary a little bit, then you'll get some shades and some lighter bits. And if you look here, I don't know whether you can see it, but there's like a shadow all the way around that bit, so it looks like it's where the fox is standing is raised up a little bit more. So I decided to put some little rocks and little bits of something that you would see poking out from the snow there. Well, that's the end of this picture. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to leave me any comments in case there's anything you would think you would have added differently. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a go. It's not as bad as it looks. It just takes a bit of time. I'll see you for the next picture. Bye for now.